Previously with the Liberators.
Oh, we're gonna start a bar fight. Yes. Oh, I've always wanted one.
Correct. There's like a. It's not a voice on a meta level. I'd say it's akin to pheromones, and it's crying out in anguish. And there's a question that lingers in your mind, and that is asking you why you've sought power over everything else.
So what now, Malachi? Are you gonna remain here until you feel safe and until we deal with this world eater?
All we can do is fight it. Ignis, you understand that your presence here is okay, your loyalties are worthwhile, and that you've proven yourself as a soldier.
You're Kandaros.
What does that name come to mind?
You're the man who fought alongside my great-grandfather.
There's two faces you do recognize. One of them is Korak, and the other one is Tali Voss.
I was pretty much a loner going up in school. The only friends I had weren't really friends. They were more like teammates on the football field.
Some of this corresponds with the story that Tigid Tithal told you guys, is that there's only one of the gods who is of the original 12. And there was a name that he can't shake out of his head, and that name is Girethkar.
And if there's something you're remembering that you're not sharing with me, I respect that, but I would also press you to share a little bit more.
Roran kind of just mindlessly distances himself from what's going on at the table and just like whispers to himself, Guiaka, Pleth told me to find you.
The Shard? What are you talking about?
You carry honor with you. Another of your kin carries memory. Compassion lies in the ice. Find her and unite them with love.
Somehow I feel like this is all related to Korak's past.
Yeah, we gotta delve deep into that one too.
Webby, there's been lots of times in your life that you felt lonely. Your short but eventful life hasn't left you with all too much time to regret or envy.
Mr. Webby would kind of pipe up and say, like, I don't know my people. The one person in my life who I viewed as my teacher, my father, was murdered. It's all my fault. Maybe if I went with them, he would still be alive, and I would still have someone who I could call family.
You guys are in the Underdark, who've been tended to and cared for by the citizens of the Underdark, the Dark Elves that reside there. You've been here for about 3 days, by your count. You haven't noticed any hostility amongst the people. They regard you with an air of heroism. They actually have begun coming to you and asking advice in small personal matters as they all begin to rebuild their lives here after the siege of the Mind Flayers. Many of them have been in their own comatose states for a long time. Many more were taken and devoured by the Mind Flayers. They're just starting to relearn how to be a civilization themselves. And you, their liberators, as it were, have become a figurehead for them. You've learned a few things about this city, the one that you fought the Mind Flayers in. This city is called Dillenholm. It's actually one of the larger cities of the Underdark. You've learned there are many. Preliminarily asking around, you haven't yielded any results. Nobody knows Tali. There's no record of her family or anything like that. As it were, if any of you had actually, in all seriousness, approached a group of merchants down there about selling Webby's body to them, they would have balked and told you no. You have since learned that the de facto leaders, Westrel, Tanis, Rigby, and Garvey, are members of the previous Dark Elf Rebellion that left just after the Illithid invasion some time ago. Obviously, they're dead. They've been gone for a while. And the Mind Flayers had been using their likeness to control the population that was not in a comatose state. And yeah, you guys this is where you are here and now. Is there anything you guys want to do, like, right off the bat?
I feel my forehead.
Well, so you reach up to feel your forehead, and you see your hand come into focus in a way that you didn't know was possible.
Okay. Since I also got last time from Webby that orb that can see into the astral plane, I think I'll fashion a little like eye patch type of thing that can hold that in front of that third eye. Maybe like, temporary coverage so I'm not seeing astral plane and our plane at the same time, but I can close my eyes and check the astral plane.
Can we how long would it take God to train himself to do that, where he can see both at the same time and just be okay? It sounds like really freaking useful, but I'm also probably telling God to just ruin his life for the next week.
Would that be an intelligence thing?
I'll say I'll just fashion something like that, and we can see how it plays out down the road if you want. But
Gob's totally
I have that
pirate wizard now.
That yeah.
All these people are gonna be like, "Hey, can I see your eye patch?" And you move it so they see your third eye, and they're like, "Oh, take it back."
Does the astral plane have like a physical correspondence to the plane that we're on, or is it 100% different?
I think that ring, it's not the astral plane. I believe it's the ethereal plane, which is a little bit different. It's the ethereal plane is a mirror realm.
It actually sounds even more useful that way.
Is that the plane where that Draco Lich blue dragon escaped to?
Yes.
And never came back?
Yes, the Draco Lich was in the ethereal plane. That's correct.
Is there anything to do or to see? What are some buildings or places or people that seem to be viable options?
Yeah, they've got more or less everything that you'd expect to see in a regular town. I think the exception is they don't have a lot of temples or churches or anything like that. And just kind of the way that you're looking at how this place is built, they're acting very cool with you. But a lot of these buildings are really old, and you get the impression that they've been kind of under the thrall of these mind flayers for a long time. Before the mind flayers come in, you definitely get the impression that these places were not built to accommodate people from the surface. It's really not friendly looking. People are being friendly, but you get the impression that had none of this occurred, this whole mind flayer thing, you probably wouldn't really have been super welcome.
Are there any drow children around, or are they all elder and adult drow?
Yeah, there's no children.
Okay.
There's nobody younger than I guess for elves it's kind of a tough one to say. There's nobody younger than 70 years old. No, but in all seriousness, I think there's no elves that are younger than 200. Which is still fairly youthful in elf years, but
that's also interesting.
I think I would still ask around for any from the people who will talk to me. I'll ask them about any literature on drow customs regarding handling a dead loved one, and specifically if that literature refers to anything above the surface, not in the Underdark.
Are you asking around?
Yeah.
I'd like you to roll in investigation.
25.
Oh, jeez.
Hello, have you seen my dead wife? Yes. Where can I bury her?
Where can I get a new dead wife?
I haven't got to that part yet.
Is there a drow Costco around or something like that?
Jesus. Hey, you look pretty stunning. Would you like to be dead and over my shoulder in about 20 years? Step on up, missy.
You talk to a few people, and they kind of point you to an archives place. Nobody really knows how to talk about it because, again, they've gone the last 200 years under this thrall of mind flayers.
Wait, how many years?
It's it's been 200 years that this particular place was just constantly under their thrall.
Sidebar question. Actually, I'll ask it later. Never mind, sorry.
So they haven't really even though they've lost people, they haven't really had the freedom to take care of it the way that they would have liked to. Mm-hmm. So they've sort of lost that skill. So they point you to their archives, and you find a couple books that sort of go into detail. And you're saying specifically, it doesn't necessarily say loved one, but it says people who you honor or share a deep bond with. They never use the word love, interestingly enough. But you find a couple little notes. There's this place called the Black Lake, and the Black Lake is where drow would take their people. The whole idea is this ritual. You take yourself into the lake and you submerge yourself fully in the lake with the body, and you can mentally prepare. It's talking about you can mentally prepare beforehand, or you can try to just improvise your way through it. But basically you're saying You're giving last rites, and you're letting go. And when you are ready to let go, can be when you are truly ready, or when your body tells you, I have to breathe now. And there's stories and things about old, drow wizards who were able to cast water breathing spells on themselves, and they submerged themselves and stayed indefinitely and never returned. And so the people lost, the idea is that they lost 2 people that day rather than just 1, and things like that. So, yes, you find some information.
And that's in the Underdark?
Yes, this is here in the Underdark.
Okay, yeah, I'll just I'll gather what I can, so ideally I'd be able to find it myself. Follow-up question. Before rolling anything, since they're rebuilding after this influence of the Illithids, is there still just Illithid junk laying around?
Yeah, it's mostly skeletons and things like that. As far as their technologies go, that's all everything that you find that would be attributed to the Illithid people and technologies that they have. That's all found in the giant spire in the middle of the city. The what was a stalagmite and a stalactite that had met in the middle over thousands of years and formed one big pillar.
Is that accessible?
Yeah, I think the drow are probably avoiding it like the plague.
Oh, okay. I would be curious going in and with my experience and background trying to find any Illithid text on Ikabar. What do Illithid speak? Illithid have their own language?
Deep speech, undercommon.
I would go to the Spire with the intent of finding any books or scripts that the Illithid have, and I wondered with my background if I could recognize something like Ikabar in their script, and I just want to gather what I can. If they have anything on him, or if they were even associated with the same group that, the party encountered years ago or not. Just anything I can gather.
I got you. Yeah, roll an investigation check for me.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, man. Yeah, you've got a couple books that really don't mean anything to you.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know any of those languages. So. Yeah, I got what I need from the drow, so sorry guys, I don't mean to hog the start.
See, I think God would still be pretty distraught from fighting his mom and fighting these mind flayers. If he could help in any way to kind of get his mind off everything, I think he'd do that. So I searched for any ways to help the city either rebuild or to cheer them up or to, if I have something that could make them smile again, that's what I would try to do.
They find your third eye very curious. They've never seen a human with 3 eyes before. Yeah, you become something of a fixture, I think.
Well, I'd let them, have their fun with it then. And
Medusa's lived a long life. Has she found any interesting drinks she's never encountered before, something kind of exotic and all that?
Yeah, I think so. A few days into it, once things start to people start getting organized, and I think so. Maybe that's how it is, Gob. Everyone's sort of trying to recover from this trauma of realizing that they've just spent the last 200 years under a spell, more or less, as slaves. And so I think maybe Gob is the one who kind of cracks the whip and starts getting people motivated and going again. That sounds like our illusionist. He starts getting everything going. He's the one who starts kind of getting the archives up and running, trying to get people going with their markets and their trade and just the commerce aspect, asking around about other cities and how they're going to interact with this city now that you guys are that they're kind of back. At some point, there's a couple elves who kind of have to put their foot down, and they're like, okay, listen, Gob, 3-eyed man, we appreciate your help right now, but we can't keep reading books and fixing things. We need drinks. We're gonna build our tavern back up.
And Roran says, "Here, here."
At this tavern, Medusa's going to spend her time just taking out her harp and playing a song that has no words, but you're kind of filled with emotions of sadness and regret and kind of yearning what could have been. but it's no vocals. It's just this beautiful but very soul kind of sad song. Maybe kind of goes with kind of the scenery around here.
Strange drinks, Medusa. You're playing your sad song, and the owner of the tavern, or the guy who was like, "No, we're building a tavern, bro." He kind of comes up to you, and he's like, "You look like you need a good drink. Let me get you something." And he like goes down into the cellar portion for a minute, and he comes back up a little while later, and he's holding an eel, and he's like, "Here you go," and he just hands you this eel.
Have I ever seen this before?
Maybe. Have you ever been to the Underdark before?
I think I journeyed around, but just from the main kind of middle continent.
Okay, yeah. So he says this is like a delicacy specifically for up in the north where they are. He's like, those southerners don't know their drinks very well. And he shows you how to drink this eel. And essentially the eel has been soaked in the foulest smelling alcohol that's ever crossed your nostrils. It makes your little snakes like on your head curl back.
Such a
disgust.
Little dizzy eyes or something like that. Like, wow.
Basically, you open the eel's mouth and like pour the drink into your mouth, and then you're supposed to eat the eel afterwards. So it's totally green. He says we've gone green. We have 100% disposable, reusable, or biodegradable cups here.
Roaring faints.
Wow. How considerate, guys. Great job.
Does this drink have a name?
Yeah, it's called
It's called Eel the Awful.
Eel Pop. Do you drink it?
Oh yeah.
So he watches you drink it, and he goes, "Wow, I've never even done that before. That's awful. That stuff's awful."
Thank you. I needed this.
Yeah, listen, just play something happier while you're in here, please.
I try to play something that has a little more, I guess, bounce to it, and Frumpkin kind of just dances in the air, little like aerial kind of barrel rolls or something like that. Try to cheer up people, but Medusa's song kind of tells a tale of her life. So she's trying to play a song that she hasn't felt that emotion in a very long time. So.
Do you have anything that's a little more normal?
The guy laughs, and he's like, "We have rock ale." And then he puts a stone like mug on the bar, and then he just pours like some regular looking ale into it.
Works for me.
I would tell the barkeep to fetch a big thing of water, and I'll turn it into whatever drink we want.
That's a good idea. Is everybody in the tavern at this point, or is anybody not at the tavern? If all the Liberators are at the bar, I'll probably have some drinks, and I'm going to attempt to lift everyone's spirits. So everybody, as long as you decide to get within 30 feet of me and not ignore me, give yourself 5 temporary hit points. So inspired. It's one of those. It's for those who saw those who saw Endgame. It's basically just Thor talking about the ether. It's basically him talking about, hey guys, where it starts at a high point, like, guys, we're in a weird spot, basically, and then yeah. So I'll do that, and then even the drow are just like motioning, stop all your head. I'm like, oh, okay, and I sit down. Actually, I think I'd even ask you guys, like, what are we doing? Like, so we dealt with, and I kind of gestured towards Mother, and we kind of just left because we had to leave. But like, do we have a direction? Do we have a goal right now, or
is there any evidence, any notion that there'd be a Jinn item, in particular this region?
All the like literature or research about Jinn objects was consumed or destroyed by the Illithid some years ago, before they actually like captured the city outright. So there's like legends that exist. You guys do hear legends of something. There's an area, there's a place. There's conflicting reports. Some people will say they remember it being around the Black Lake. Some people say they remember being higher up, as they say, than the Black Lake. But there's this area that has a feeling to it, and nobody really knows how to reconcile what that means.
Roran turns to the group and starts going crazy and says, guys, we're under the ice. Don't you get it? And they're like, probably like, what the hell are you talking about?
What?
What?
What? What's up? We're under the ice?
We're under the ice, guys.
Oh.
I believe I am so terrible at remembering. I don't think I told these guys about my Stormfather encounter. Listen, we're under the Icelands. We're under Packard's Reach and the whole Path of Graves. And the Stormfather said that the shards that we have to find, one of them is Compassion, which lies in the ice.
What are these shards that you're trying to find exactly?
I have one on me, so I'd pull it out of my pack.
The shattered pieces of the Mylar.
The Mylar. Okay.
I don't think we could stop Ichabod unless we get them all.
Remind me, I'm sorry, but the Mylar, I can't. I feel bad because I couldn't remember if this was something that was clearly explained, and I'm just like, oh shit, I don't remember.
Okay. Elder Gods. Do you remember anything about Elder Gods?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's ringing the bell.
When there was the big war, Mylar was the youngest of the 3 Elder Gods.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one that was broken. There's like shards of him.
Okay.
So obviously we need to find these shards to help us in this quest. And if we're under the Icelands, and the Drow are mentioning this so-called feeling they're receiving out and about, probably be to our benefit to go find it.
What did the other shards just contain as power or something?
Power of bringing back his power? A resurrection of sorts?
Oh, okay. He would serve us?
Well, he would help stop the enemy.
I see.
We would more liberate him.
That makes sense. And did it say they were under the ice or on the ice?
Yes, the Mylar shattered. His shards did not agree with the Mylar whole. So the shard of honor was slain. Chaos and logic were struck down. We have to unite all these shards of Mylar together. We already have one. Memory. I have honor. We're looking for compassion.
Oh wait, it's the shard of compassion?
Yes.
I would bet a little bit of gold on the Black Lake, a place where you leave loved ones to rest, and some have had trouble letting go of them.
We can try that area.
I also have a little dewy thingy I gotta do there, which we could kill 2 birds. Yeah, I would tell the party openly that I need to go to that lake to begin with for, selfish reasons. So if you're talking about the Shard of Compassion and we're pretty sure it's under the ice, possibly in the Underdark, then I wonder if that's a good bet.
Well, sounds like you need some closure, Korak, and I know about that, so I'll help you in this quest.
Thank you. So that's Gob and no one else. Cool.
Well, the cleric is going.
I'll come. I'm here.
Okay.
He's not offering any words of consolation, but he's going.
I was leaning forward and fell out of my chair at the silence from the rest of the group.
I will go anywhere you go, Kandaros.
I'll go some places, you'll go Kandaros.
Who are you?
And Roran, you said you had one of these shards too? No, you have one, I have one. That's all we have, right? Just the 2 so far?
So we're looking for the last one. I believe it's the last one.
Based from what I heard, Asa, is it reasonable to make the assumption that if we were, I think I could find this Black Lake, we would still be under the Path of Graves, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
okay.
you guys are smack in the middle of the Path of Graves as it is.
Okay, that makes more sense then. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a journey. It'll be a journey to get there, but you have no reason to think that because this isn't like another plane. Distance works the same here as it does anywhere else in the world. The difference is you're just underground. So yeah, you're able to gauge. Yeah, absolutely. It's in this region.
Well, maybe tonight we drink, and tomorrow we head out and search for Black Lake. Turn another round of water into drinks.
Would I know, Asa, how the Drow think about the undead?
It's not as frowned upon as it is above ground, but to say that people just do it would be wrong.
No walking their dead dogs or something.
Yeah, there's things called like death shamans, which are their version of like witch doctors, I guess. Their rule set's a little more fast and loose.
Fast and loose, I like it.
There are none in this city. Those were all killed in the initial wave of.
Oh, so they probably missed them then, right? Do you guys want to drink with Webby tonight or not?
Roaring things again.
I mean, this is a party, or we? What do you guys think? Do you want a party, or?
What's
Yeah, I want a party.
Wallace and Gromit meme that's like, what have you just released upon this world?
What have you brought upon this cursed land? Let me just reread this real quick. What kind of intelligence do ghouls have?
Not much. That's a big fat 7. That ghoul won't be casting no fireball.
That's a positive, but
For reference, 10 is average intelligence.
I also don't know the nature of this spell. I'm guessing they're just Skyrim summoned dead, just is all they do, or
They also attack people.
well, they're under my control, so that's no problem.
Get us another round of those eel pops. Webby would like that.
Yeah, we want a round of eel pops for me, and as this crackling sound of Eatercat bones twist and turn as he sits up straight in his chair, and I put my arm around his shoulder and say, my old friend wants a drink, and I mentally look at him and go, drink, don't kill, drink, don't kill.
Zombie proboscis shoots out just.
Let me just. Okay, I'm gonna read this. Description: with their razor-sharp teeth and jagged claws, ghouls roam the night in packs, driven by an insatiable hunger for humanoid flesh.
Oh God.
Oof. See no difference.
No humans here, though. We're good, except for a few of us.
Humans have 2 eyes.
Yeah, like you said, it's under your control, so I'm okay with this. Webby's corpse, which is like all curled up in on itself, as spiders are wont to do, it slowly begins to like unfold because it's an exoskeleton, and like all of the Webby juice on the inside is all kind of like dried and congealed. And actually, as he's unfolding himself, one of his 4 arms snaps off, just because it wasn't able to like unbend the way that it was. So you have a 7-limbed Webby that has like these hollow, empty eye holes, like standing at this bar with you, and the bar is like become uncharacteristically silent. And you can tell like people are pretending to like go about their night in a way that they're like, it's like purposeful ignorance, if that makes sense. Like they are purposefully not looking in your direction, and like there's like these kind of forced smiles. And it's not necessarily that the act of what Korak has done that bothers them. It's quite literally comes down to the sight of Webby himself. Like all of his little like spider fuzz is gone. It's like replaced by these like weird mothball things just kind of clinging to his shell. And he moves like, really kind of slowly. And there's an eel pop on the bar that like Gob set there for him. And he goes to reach it, and his hands brush up against the eel pop that Gob is actually holding, and he grabs that one too. And like, so he just like takes 2 eel pops and just kind of shoves his whole hand into his mouth to like feed them down.
Just like Zoidberg's it.
He does like that weird like where his head just kind of tilts like jerkily, and he like looks over at Korak, and then you see his little mouth pincers go click, click, click.
Q LMFAO. I've had the time of my life.
Yeah, I think he clicks, and I don't know. It's very funny just because that is something like there's definitely some Webby personality like in there.
Okay, good. That's what I was hoping for.
I raise my glass to Webby.
To Webby.
To
And
Webby.
I stare at all the people who aren't raising their glasses. I'm like, to Webby!
To Webby.
To Webby, damn it.
Everybody around kind of goes, oh God! knocks down their glasses to like grab. This one guy like dives across the bar to try to grab his drink and lift it up and go, to Webby! That was super creepy.
All right, yeah, my prerogative will just be to just get super, super drunk and pass out. Ooh, I also, if you guys want to leave the bar, I can get around town really quick. We could check out all the fun things in the Underdark while we're drunk.
Sounds like a fun time.
It's like, dude, there's this dude. I wonder what sewers are like in the Underdark, right? Who knows when we'll be in the Underdark next, guys? Let's make it memorable.
Is that what you guys want to do?
Yeah, let's go fuck shit up.
I'm just imagining, this
Letty!
super stupid drunk revelry. We just move the party with us, and all the while we've got a ghoul Webby in the center, and we're just...
Medusa takes a eel pop for the road.
Why don't you guys talk amongst yourselves and figure out like what exactly you kind of like want to do and see in the city while you're just like drunk revelers and or mourners or whatever. Just like if you guys can make like a list of the things you want to do, I'll come back and we'll do that for like the last half hour.
What is there to do in the Underdark?
An Underdark that's being rebuilt and only has one tavern. We could go play soccer with that pile of skulls.
Definitely go into a church that worships spiders and show off Webby.
No, he did say there was a lack of religious anything here.
Oh, damn.
But we can try to find something.
Let's give them hope. They'll start worshipping Ghoul Webby.
How about a weekend at Bernie's type thing?
Okay, I heard that, and I think that's excellent. We should try to get them to worship the weekend at Bernie's Webby.
We need to find a nice little Hawaiian shirt for him.
Drunkenly get tattoos of Webby.
I mean, to be fair, he's like one of the founding members of this party, so...
Remember that patch I made a while back? We could get that tattooed.
Can we blow up the tower?
Oh, the little stalactite, stalagmite thing?
Yeah.
Should we start like a tavern brawl or something?
Dude, we need to just do something epic, so yeah, I'm totally on board with that.
He just rebuilt it. Let's smash the shit out of it.
Wow, it's quite the list we got there.
Is everybody still here? Or you all stepped away from me?
We typed up some things in Roll20.
Go to a church that worships spiders with Webby. Shop for nice clothing for Webby. Tattoos of patch that Gob made. Inquire about mounts in the Underdark. Tavern brawl. Weekend at Bernie's for Webby. Korak will unavoidably hit on more drow ladies. Do all the drugs with Korak. Pray and weep out of sheer fright. Fireball something. Being hand-fed fruit and getting full release massages from... Oh my lord.
It's what Webby would have wanted. But I'm not paying for it.
Those are all non-negotiable, by the way.
Alright, let's do this. Let's power through some of this.
Wait, the massage?
No, well, maybe... Lord help me, what have I wrought upon this? Alright, what are we doing? The gang goes to
Well, I
Weekend at
think
Webby's.
we're still in the bar, so the bar brawl is probably first, right?
I'm just gonna stand up and punch the closest person.
I think Korak and I already started doing drugs at this point.
I think Medusa would be the one trying to inquire about getting service for the party.
Landis is definitely high, and then Medusa over there is inquiring about services. Gets slapped in the face. Landis senses that and just starts going off.
Just like punching people in the bar.
Yeah, because he's so fucking high.
Landis is like
who did it.
He's like a whirlwind. You know what Landis looks like is like on a cartoon. There's like a dust ball and just like limbs flying out of it.
Tasmanian devil.
Yes. He freaking Tasmanian devils across the room. People get like sucked into this vortex of violence and like shot out the other side. Landis, roll dex and strength for me.
What the fuck did I just come back to?
That totally makes sense. So his dexterity would be a little bit lower because he is high, but his strength would be that manimal strength.
His intelligence is low, but his wisdom is so high, man.
I think Ignis, like, Landis starts speeding around the room, and Ignis turns around and just punches someone. And, like, they stagger back and, like, fall into the event horizon of Landis's vortex. and then like shoot out the other side and like splat against the wall. Not splat, but just like
Jesus.
You know, like they just like up against the wall on the other side of the bar. And like at this point, like people are standing up, and it's like a scene from a freaking airplane where everyone just stands up and starts punching whoever's closest to them, just like for no reason.
Okay.
Someone tries to grab Medusa's hair. Medusa, make a dex saving throw.
I mean, should it be her or should it be them?
It depends on what she decides to do after this.
I mean, if that's gonna happen, they're gonna have to face this.
Oh god, it's a bar fight, not a bar murder.
Oh, that's right. I'll try not to murder anyone. I guess her serpent hair would kind of snap at them.
Okay, yeah, so the hair like dodges out of the way uncannily.
Was there an instigator, or was it just like Rick and Morty, like race war, except it's brawl fight, little screams?
Medusa got slapped.
Who slapped Medusa?
Whoever he was propositioning for his good time massage.
Oh my god. Oh, wait, what? Asa, come on. What's happening? Give me something. Like, what happened?
So, all I know is that Danny put down he wants to be hand-fed fruit while getting a full release massage from an escort.
Jesus Christ.
Don't forget the full release part.
Full release?
Full release.
Oh my.
Wow. And that started the bar fight?
No, so what started a bar fight was Korak and
Landis. I was not here.
You guys were doing lines off of the bar top.
Oh my god.
How do you want it? Because I now realize that you were not here for the beginning of this.
That's fair. I'm already
Landis wants to do drugs with Korak.
Okay, and Korak would be so rude to refuse such an offer. Ignis just cuz? Or?
Yeah, just cuz.
I think this whole thing is just cuz.
Just cuz. Like, the drugs I pick up, the box that says Underdark drugs, I just read the label and it says uppers, not downers. I'm like, oh no, they're uppers.
I like that. So it was literally just a bottle that you had upside down with an arrow, thinking that it was a downer, but the bottle was upside down. And actually
this is the extract of llama!
Medusa had been propositioning someone for a full release massage. As she so delicately put it. And so this confused person, as a bar fight is breaking out around them, goes, full release? And reaches for her hair, which then shies back, and I guess probably Ignis punches that guy too, and he just like gets laid out, knocked out stone cold. The whole time, I should mention, the whole time that this is happening, the bartender is calmly standing behind the bar, just like cleaning a glass.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
As you do. And every time that something else breaks, he just makes a little tick mark on a piece of paper that he's got in front of him.
Oh, God.
The name of this place.
It's going to have a new name after tonight.
Yeah, after this, it's going to be called the Resurrected Spider. But for right now, I think it's literally just called the Dark Hole.
Perfect place for the massage.
I want a full release massage in the Dark Hole, if you catch my drift.
Being hand-fed fruit.
Korak will definitely try to, I guess I'll just try to sock somebody in the face while I make like an entrance to approach a drow lady and just be like, hey, what's up?
What's up, girl?
Charisma save and a strength save. Okay, so Korak, go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw for me as well. Korak does one more line off the bar top.
Oh, hell yeah.
Turns around and like Sparta kicks a guy who's like standing in front of like arguably the prettiest drow woman in the bar.
Oh, yes.
And then he like scoots up next to her. And what do you say to her exactly?
You may have heard of me. My name's Kandaros. I just took 2 uppers, and you are still the best thing I've seen all night.
You say out loud, you say, my name is Kandaros, and there's like a pain in your head real quick. But you are like so blasted that you like barely register it. And that's the only time that you feel that, at least for now. This woman looks at you and she's like, yeah, what of it? As like literally behind her, everything is on fire and like falling apart and people are just throwing punches and like there's some guy in the corner screaming, my leg! My leg!
Of course. I'll just kind of nonchalantly look over my shoulder and be like, man, it's getting kind of rowdy in here. You want to get out of here?
She kind of like turns. She's like, oh, I'm here with my friends, and she turns around and like all three of her friends are like laid out, just like been punched. They have like Landis like hand marks on their faces. And she's like, well, no, thanks, but no. And then she's like, I don't mean to be a downer, but I know that you're here with your dead girlfriend, and that's like super not sexy.
I'll just kind of like uncharacteristically compared to everything else I've done. I'll just be like, okay, have a good night, and then I'll just like, as best as I can, like stage dive into this just amalgam of hate and fury. Just jump into the bar fight, I guess.
Where are Gob and Roran in all of this?
Gob's still sitting at the table with Webby, just completely ignoring everything with my arm around Webby, telling him about all the stories he's missed, like the time we fought the Mind Flayers, and exaggerating how I used Steel Wind Strike and how he would have loved that spell, and completely ignoring the fight all around him.
Oh, that's nice.
I love it.
Casually having to lift his drink every once in a while when someone gets slid across the table.
Exactly.
Imagine Frumpkins like keeping the drinks coming, just stealing drinks from the tables as they're distracted.
We have a little drink bandit. Randy, that is so appropriate for a few reasons. That's great. What about Roran? What's Roran doing again?
He's
Sorry?
probably near where Gob and Webby are, but has like a chair as a shield to guard from the chaos. But also his staff is ready in case he needs a spell slot to be spent.
This bar fight is like it's starting to dwindle a little bit, and not because people are calming down, but because if by calming down you mean everyone is like passed out, knocked out, as I think like Landis is literally hanging from one of the rafters in the ceiling. What is Landis doing at this point? Like shouting obscenities or
hanging from the ceiling, but he's like trapeze artisting somebody while he's hanging upside down.
This person, like, at first is screaming, "Oh my god! Help me!" Ah! And then suddenly, like, he stops screaming, and then you guys notice that he's just, like, unconscious as he's being swung around like a rag doll. The noises of this bar fight, like, start to die down as literally, like, the last people are punched out by Ignis and Landis. I think to Korak, probably to some extent.
Yeah,
probably to a lot of extent. Like, Korak's doing cool stuff like wing whipping people. And yeah, as this commotion starts to kind of die, you hear Gob like telling stories to like the Webby Ghoul that's like just sitting there like open mouthed, like just kind of like standing there like listening. Gob, how drunk are you right now as you're telling these stories?
Pretty drunk.
We haven't really dealt with like drunk Gob yet. Does he tend to embellish things when he gets drunk, or does he tend to be more like accurate?
Oh, everything's super embellished. The Mind Flayer was like 20 feet tall. It was just me. Everyone else had their brain suckers in, and I saved the day.
Sounds about right. So yeah, as you're telling this story the way that you're telling it, your glass that you're holding over your third eye, you can't help but have the feeling that like there's something about what you're doing and about Webby keeping you guys like more connected in some very strange way that you can't quite describe. But because you're drunk and like you're not quite telling the full truth, it's like it's sort of just like a passing fancy. Roran, you don't end up having to like use your spells or your shield or anything like that. And I think actually at the end of all, like once everything kind of dies down and everyone sort of loses steam, the bartender comes up to you out of everybody, and he goes, "Listen, they broke all the furniture in here. Someone's gonna have to pay for this, and I'm guessing that you guys probably aren't, but like, do you have like anyone you can recommend that like could come here and fix this? You're a cleric, you got spells. Do you have like the mending spell? Can you like mend my tables and chairs and things? Because I'm about like I'm about like 30 grand in the hole right now.
Jesus.
It's been 200 years since I was able to bartend here, and my first night back, it's been destroyed. So, like, that's kind of a bummer, you know? But, like, you know, whatever, it's fine.
Sure will make such a great story for your future, Bar. Have you heard of a chap named Real Redstone?
Oh, God. What is this? What are you doing? Redstone?
I bet Redstone's a great lead for you, for money-wise. What's your most prized piece of furniture here?
Well, that would be my prize chair over in the corner.
Okay.
There. It's my most prized because it's called the prize.
Oh, the prize chair. Let me take a look at that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to mend that prize chair.
You're able to fix it up.
Okay.
And then he goes, listen, okay, you took a drink of your water earlier, and like you and I both know that that's not really water in there, and all my alcohol is broken. Can you do me a solid and just like fill up this one bottle for me? And he like holds a bottle.
Where does he put the bottle?
Under the bar. Landis.
That's such a perfect role for the situation. It's so perfect.
Just the perfect role.
Just punches it in midair.
Landis reaches out. As he's swinging this ragdoll dude from the rafters, he like drops the guy and like reaches, but he's still hanging. Like he's still hanging on the rafters, and so he reaches out and realizes like it's still just like way too far. And I think Landis falls. And I would say he falls on his face, but let's face it, Landis lands on his feet. You guys leave the bar. Where are you going next?
I guess we'll go get our tattoos, and as calmly as we can, just like coming down covered in sweat and blood, and just like, hey, do you know any good places where we can find mounts down here?
So funny enough, you guys walk into the tattoo parlor, and it's the person who's like running it is the same lady that Korak was hitting on just a second ago.
Oh, sweet discount, guys!
Korak walks in and goes, "Do you know where we can find a mount in here?" She goes, "Oh my God, no!"
Jesus.
And then Korak tries to like explain, "No, I don't mean it. That's not horses. I mean horses."
Oh, look at
like.
No, pardon me. In my, I'm not a native of the Underdark, and I don't know if you even call them mounts down here. Do we like ride giant mushrooms or something down here? Is that what we do in the Underdark?
No, but she talks about it and basically describes what is like a little like a monitor lizard if it was big enough to ride.
Well, I'll jot that place down, and then I'll handedly show her the patch and be like, "Guess where this is going?"
On your chest, right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
I don't know about you guys, but I could go for a meatball sandwich right about now.
Oh man, a meatball sandwich pops right into your hand, just like it's there. Like you have the thought and it's there. In fact, you say that not realizing that you're already holding a meatball sandwich. Short sword.
We're going for splitsies on that sandwich.
Oh Jesus!
You start to swing at the sandwich because and you have this thought like, I want one of those sandwiches, and as you're swinging, a meatball sandwich appears impaled on your short sword, and then Gob blinks out of the realm.
To enjoy my meatball sandwich in peace.
Gob, make a perception check while you're in the ethereal plane, and make it with disadvantage, since you're sort of on the drunk side.
Can I make a perception check to figure out whatever happened to that one arm Webby left or that fell off?
I think it got crushed to dust in the bar brawl.
Probably that's fair to say.
Okay, so I'm realizing, Gob, that you get perception check advantage because of your third eye, but because you're drunk, it would normally be disadvantage, so it cancels itself out and becomes regular. Gob, you are outside, quote unquote outside in the Underdark here, looking around, and you start noticing some really red light kind of pouring down from cracks in the ceiling, as it were.
What was in those drinks?
So let me ask you, are you just having Ghoul Webby just stand there the whole time, anytime you guys are, so you're all getting this tattoo, and the Webby's just standing next to the tattoo artist, just
Oh, he gets a tattoo too. I do think we should probably.
It's like the Steve-O tattoo, on his back.
They do the outline of it, and then like a big chunk of his outer shell like falls as he's just further decaying. Yeah, you get tattoos without too much trouble. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. The woman and her like 3 tattooing partners that are open at this hour of the night, they explain that while they were all sort of, bringing the mood down a little bit, but while they were all under the thrall of these illithid, that's how they kind of like kept their sanity to a point, was by like thinking of their art skills, and anytime they had a chance, practicing art when they can, and kind of keeping themselves up on it. So it doesn't take very long they're very masterful with their work.
I do think we should probably bury Webby before the night's up. Finally put him to rest.
Yeah, let me review that real quick.
Just gonna groan in his tomb.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wasn't sure how you guys want to handle this. If we want to do like a ceremony, because we either have to make him kill himself, or we have to kill him, or I can just leave him, but he will become a ghoul and probably wreak havoc.
I think the way he'd probably want to go is with a fireball.
That's on the list.
How many D8 does this ghoul have in health?
Not a ton.
Okay. We'll have him cast fireball himself at some point, but I guess we should decide how we want that to come about.
I will say he doesn't have any magical abilities himself anymore.
I can do it. From one wizard to another. Maybe we find a space that's not, destroying other stuff. The temple was rebuilt.
Yeah, we're openly talking about this while they're tattooing the last person. They're like, what?
It's really nice, vista points here in the Underdark.
Well, obviously they talk. If you ask anyone that, they talk about the Black Lake. They say it's beautiful in its own haunting way. And then like you kind of look around and like, yeah, there's the obvious landmark is the big spire in the center of the city. And there's a few spots where like you can see mountains kind of going up. The problem is it's very dark, like just out in the wilderness portion, as it were. I hate using those terms because you're not technically outside, but you know what I mean. Roll investigation for me, and survival. Okay, so with the 14, it takes you a little bit more than a few hours to kind of like find a spot that you would be happy with. But you actually find a little grove of like these crystalline trees next to a small pool of water, and it reminds you very vaguely of when you guys had gone into Wabbajack's woods. It reminds you of that enough that like that's the thought that you had when you first like kind of stumbled across it, because these crystalline trees aren't like super uncommon. But yeah, seeing that, you're like, oh man, that's like the time we went to Wabbajack's woods, and like that was kind of like where Webby had his moment. And so I think that's probably what gives you the biggest reminder of him, and this looks like it's probably the place for you.
Okay, I take out my dagger from its sheath, because it can communicate with the astral plane, and I say, Webby, if you're there, we're gonna miss you. And I turn to the group and ask if anyone else has anything to say to Webby, just hoping that he'll hear it some way through the connection with the dagger.
Or just something to the effect of, gonna miss you, Webby. Sorry we couldn't save you, but I don't think you're gonna hold hard feelings against us.
Well, goodbye, old friend. Have a good one. And he pulls out the bottle of liquor that he went back and stole, and pours one out to Webby.
Did I say you can do that?
Oh, another bar fight.
You did not.
That was mine. Okay. Roran bitterly says, Webby, overall, it was great to know you, but you still disgust me, and I hope you find peace where you are now. And then I take a swig out of my flask.
As you guys are like saying things, Gob, you notice that there's a little line of light that is coming off of your dagger and like going straight into like Webby's like head, and you see that through your third eye.
Ignis will just stand there, praying or something.
Medusa would be respectful, because she just joined this party, and just be petting Frumpkin.
The Webby ghoul is like kind of like, ghoulishly like looking at each of you in turn with his sunken dead eyes. And every time that someone like says something, he he clicks his little mouth pincers. And then every time that you say this, anything, this line, Gob, that you see gets a little bit stronger. Korak, you're just like, you're not really commanding the Webby to do anything, right? Like, this is kind of.
I think I'd say probably like the most, even compared to when I was fighting and like hitting on people and just being stupid, is like, even though I'm staring at him, like looking at the ghoul right now in the face, I think this is the most I've kind of like relinquished. There's still that mental control of not letting it just lose its mind and freak out, but it's like I've definitely become as mentally distant as I can from it as I'm saying things to Webby. And I think at one point too, I took out one or two of the spell books that Webby and I went over. Like, this is going back like way back to when the campaign started, like Purple Worm stuff of like being up in one of the taverns, like studying magic with him. Like I probably like hand him one or two of those books I still hold on to and just have the ghoul kind of like hold on to him.
He makes a quick motion and bends down and grabs something. And then you guys look and you see that he's grabbed a small, like, for lack of a better term, a lizard pigeon, promptly shoves it into his mouth. And then just kind of like slowly clicks his pincers again and turns and starts to walk into the crystal glade. Very briefly, Gob, you hear happy clicks coming from that dagger.
I'll say, I miss you, buddy. Have fun with the rest of your other Ettercaps and launch a fireball at them.
There's a brilliant flash of light, in which time the mountainside next to you is illuminated. The crystal forest gives off these amazing, what's the word? There's like these rainbows of light, right? As the light pours through all the crystalline limbs. The water lights up and shivers a little bit with the concussion of the fireball. And it's a very loud noise, and as it subsides, the Webby ghoul is nowhere to be found.
I hope you got your release.
Wow.
I'm taking back that point of inspiration.
Oh no.
There's no Ettercap left. The line that you had been seeing that was coming off of the dagger and into the Ettercap, or Webby's body, that's gone. And the dagger is silent. And it's 9 o'clock, and we will end it there for tonight, fellas. Thank you guys for bearing with me on kind of a crazy evening, but Lordy, am I happy we were able to do something.
Appreciate it. Making the time for this.
Yeah, that was fun. Fun.
For real, guys. Thank you guys for being open to doing it during the week.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like we
finally got to be in a bar fight.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the closest we've been to a shade of awful murder hobo people, and I think it still ended on like a much more character-driven, emotional thing.
Very touching ending.
After all that.